He's the founder of Asthma MD. And welcome on the stage. Here is your mic.
Well, thanks for invitation, and good afternoon or good evening, Minsk. How's everyone? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Thank you. So, it's great to be back here. It's great to be back at GW. I was here 3 years ago. Time flies. So, what I want to talk about is basically really understanding product market fit. And this is really where things begin to fail. So essentially 9 out of 10 products fail, right? So any of you here who wants to do a business or has a product idea, probably all of you are going to fail, unless you listen to my talk. It's a joke. So how many here are entrepreneurs that want to do a company? Raise your hand. Only 3 people? 4 people. 4 people, that's it? What are you guys here for? Are there like paid professional audience? Is that what it is right now? You saw an ad on like Goodbye to come here and show up? Anyways, so we're going to talk about how to find your product market fit. Just a quick background. So currently I run Asthma MD. I had this crazy idea to put all the restaurant menus on the internet. It kind of failed. We'll talk about that. And before that, I ran product for a company called military.com. And we built a bunch of cool products and we sold that. So that was okay. Oops. It's a very finicky button. So actually, I think most startups fail not because of bad ideas, not because of the market. They fail because of personality, right? That's where you fail the most. It's right here. So, you know who this guy is? Anyone knows? Who is he? Roger Federer, right? Roger Federer is a champion. What does that mean? Huh? He's the best. In what? No. Huh? Yes, in what else?
And good mentors.
He is best at winning. It's a big difference. He's a champion. Champions know how to win. Tennis players know how to play tennis. Entrepreneurs know how to win. Programmers and coders and wannabes know how to build things. But to win, you have to be a champion. So I'm a big tennis fan. And for a long time, I would watch Wawrinka. You know Stan Wawrinka? And I'm like, wow, Stan Wawrinka is such an amazing tennis player. He should be winning left and right. And then he would go to a major tennis match and he would lose. I'm like, how is this possible? Right? Well, because this guy knows how to win. And that's really the key to entrepreneurship. Knowing what you need to do to win. And that's the only and the most important thing in your world. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to win. Nothing else matters, right? Doesn't matter you have the best product, the best clothes, the best name, nothing. You have to win. And I'm going to teach you guys how to win. This is hard. Really, if it was easy, everyone would be the next Steve Jobs. But there are not that many people out there, right? It requires a very difficult combination of talent, drive, passion, energy, vision, all of it, right? And to be honest with you, not everyone has that, right? Not everyone has that. So, I think if you want to succeed in anything in life, the first thing you should do is really know what you really want. How many here know what they really want? You do. What do you really want? That's okay, but what do you really want? Huh? Okay.
He wants to develop games.
He wants to develop games. No, you don't. You think you want to develop games. But you don't. That's the problem. You really have to understand what you really, really, really want inside. And that's why you lose. Because you don't really know what you want inside. How do you know what you want inside? Well, I really believe in this thing called clarity. And it took me until these gray hairs to understand what clarity meant, right? And that's something each of you have to find in your own way. But finding what you really, really want is the first step to becoming an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you're going to fail, right? That's the most important thing. If you're going to learn one thing from this, it's just this thing. Knowing what you really want and not lie to yourself. Because the easiest thing you do, you lie to yourself, right? And when you lie to yourself, you're going to go maybe 1 step, 2 step, and 3 step. But the lie is going to fall apart, and you're going to collapse, and everything is going to fail. Okay. Now, the next thing you need to know your weaknesses. Everyone has a weakness. It's impossible you're perfect, right? The sooner you understand your weakness, the sooner you succeed in life, right? Because 2 things, either you're going to work on fixing it, or you're going to find the right person to team up with you, and your combination of your 2 is going to be a perfect combination, okay? So find that. Be honest to yourself. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Everyone has a weakness. Find that weakness. Find a person that can complement it and fix it for you. And I really believe in this clarity. Steve Jobs used to walk all the time. I love walking. I get my best ideas after the 45 minutes. The first 45 minutes, I'm busy with all the things I have to think about. And then after 45 minutes, my brain clears up and I can think clearly. And I know, oh, wait a minute. This is all bullshit. What I really need to focus is that thing only and that thing alone. That's what you need clarity for. So, you find a solution for a problem. That's what entrepreneurs do, right? Maybe you work in a company and it sucks. And only if you could do that thing better, the world would be better. Okay? Oops, wrong way. So the first thing you want to do, because we are talking about startups, is this really an investment kind of a business, or is it a mom and pop business? Right? Is that important? Yes and no. If it's still a business that you want to pursue, you should pursue it. It doesn't have to be an investment business. But you need to know which one it is, because are you going to focus trying to get investors, or are you going to go build it, or what do you need to get there? Okay. So how do you know which one is which? Well, really, how large of a problem are you trying to solve? And more importantly, is this a growing problem or is this a shrinking problem? If it's a shrinking problem, most likely it's going to be very difficult because it's already saturated. And then, it's like how bad people need this solution, right? You heard this thing, candy, vitamin, aspirin comparison, right? Yes? You all know this thing, right? So everyone wants to find aspirin. It's very difficult, but ideally you want a large problem with a need for aspirin. This part is really, really hard to appreciate, scalability, right? Who understands what scalability means? Anyone? Scalable? What is it? Scalability? Yes, what is it? Yes, how can you widen your business? How can you grow, right? Now, you look at it and you're like, well, I can grow this thing, it's easy. Scalability is very difficult to appreciate, right? Do you guys think Uber is a scalable business? I disagree. I think actually Uber is a very difficult business to scale. How much money have they raised? A lot of money, right? A lot. Actually, Uber is a very difficult business to be in and to scale. I made prediction a couple of years ago, Uber will eventually go out of business, I think. So, and the last thing is, how am I going to get paid for it? Who's paying me for this business? So this is the high-level idea. You have an idea, you have a business. To go from idea to a real business, first you want to find what's called a solution problem fit, right? Then you want to find what we call a product market fit, and then you want to scale, and this is where you make money, right? So typically you get some seed money, or you use your own money to find this, and when you're about to get there, maybe you get more money. And then once you find product market fit, that's where you get like a big VC round, Series A, Series B, and you start making the big money. Oops, keep going the wrong way, sorry. This is a very finicky thing. Sorry about that. Jesus. All right. Am I going the wrong way? All right, okay. So, I made this mistake, by the way. Is that a real problem? Like, so you see a problem, right? And you get so excited because you think you found it and you're going to become the next Zuckerberg, and in 5 years, you're going to be driving your Lamborghini across the main street here, and everyone's going to be like, wow, you're such a cool guy, right? So, the first lie, don't lie to yourself. Okay, you think you have a problem, but you don't really have a problem that you're solving. Okay, so I'll give you guys an example. By the way, I've seen this by myself and many entrepreneurs. You can always find the data to validate your lie. I guarantee you, anything you want to say, there is already a research out there that confirms your idea, right? Don't fall for that. It's easy. Entrepreneurs are very good at this thing. They have an idea, and then research this thing, and they find some data that says, oh, 50% of people want to do this thing. That's bullshit, right? Don't fall for that. I'll give you guys an example. So my crazymenu.com, we said, you know what? We want to be the Google Maps for restaurant menus, which means what? We put all the menus on the internet, we gave you this widget, and you put it on your website because everyone needs restaurant menus. Yeah, people, and I found data. 80% of consumers said they will choose a restaurant because of the menu. It's good data, right? I was wrong. It was bullshit, right? The difference between a menu and a map is what? Can you find a place without a map? It's almost impossible now, right? If there's no map, you can't find a place anymore, right? You need the map. It's like there's no way around it. But if I tell you, hey, let's go meet in a restaurant, a pizza place. What do you think they're serving in a pizza place? Pizza. Do you need to know the menu? Maybe it's nice, but you know it's going to be pizza with cheese, tomatoes, right? If it's Chinese, Chinese food. If it's sushi, sushi, right? You don't really need the menu. You can still kind of make a decision. With no map, you're really lost, right? So that's where I failed. Like, we convinced ourselves people need a menu. Not really. I mean, it's good, but it wasn't as important as having a map. Keep going sideways. This is really bad. All right, so I don't know how far I went, but that's okay. So people think they have a solution to a problem. No, you don't. You only have a hypothesis. It's only a hypothesis until you actually prove it, people use it, you test it, you verify, you get data. Okay? Shit. Maybe I should let you drive. Can you drive? I'm totally clicking the wrong thing all the time. All right. So it doesn't matter. I think we have lots of stuff to talk about. So we talked about the problem. Let's talk about the scalability for a bit. There are VCs in the US that only invest in software because they think, and they're right, everything but the software is not scalable. So Gray-like partners only invest in software businesses, right? Because it's very difficult to scale outside of software business. The moment you have to go hire people and try to get them to do things, it becomes impossibly expensive. Okay. Again, same with crazymenu.com. We wanted to go to restaurants directly. We had this business model. I had the whole spreadsheet, numbers, how we're going to make money. And we went to the investors. The investors, no, you're crazy. This is not scalable. I'm like, no, it's very scalable. Look, I have a chart to show you. My Excel sheet tells you you're wrong. Just an Excel sheet, right? They were right. I was wrong. It was never going to be scalable. It was stupid. Next one. So who's paying for this thing? Well, really, there are just two kinds of businesses, right? You're either promoting a business, advertising, or you're the business itself, right? You're either promoting a service or you're the service, correct? Pretty much that's it, right? Next one, please. And then if you're in advertising, you've got to kind of figure out where you are in what I call the funnel, right? Is this like a game or like Google or Facebook with lots of eyeballs, low value? Or you're a very, very high value user, like a lead gen business, right? You understand the lead gen business, right? So the lead gen, you send very qualified customers, right? Really, advertising and lead gen is the same thing, except lead gen is a very high quality target. Advertising is very, very broad. So someone needs to filter it out. Next. Okay, so what's product market fit? It's very simple. You want to find a real solution to a real problem, right? The key is a real solution, not bullshit solution, a real solution. That's something really, really needs and really solves the problem. Anything beyond that, it's useless. No one's going to use it. You're going to spend money marketing it. You're going to tell yourself you have something, but it's all bullshit. Okay? Next, please. So, how many of you have done this? You have, right? Boy, I have, right? I love the shit I built. I like Andre, who works with me, he knows that. I'm like, wow, this is the best thing ever we built. This is amazing. It's going to like kill the world. No, it's not going to kill the world until you test it, right? It's very, well, that's a passion of entrepreneurship, right? You're going to fall in love with your solution, but don't fall in love with it, right? And usually your first solution is always wrong because you don't know any market yet. So what you really want to do is really build something the market falls in love with, right? So that should be your real push. Next one. All right, so where do you start? Well, I think you should really think about the following. How bad is the pain, right? I'm not creating the aspirin. If you're not creating the aspirin, really, I think you're wasting your time. It's very difficult. I mean, games, yeah, maybe, but it's very difficult sometimes, right? The scalability. How easily can I reach customer? If it's not scalable, then forget it, right? It's not like a real big business. You know, if it's profitable, and how big is the market? So you look at this stuff, and you come up with 3 plans, right? Your top 3 plans. And what you want to do, you want to just put all your focus on plan 1, and just test, and test, and test, and test. Next one, please. All right. So, what goes wrong? Ego. Ego is a bitch, right? And it happens all the time in a team. How many of you have fights in the team on stupid stuff? Happens all the time, right? What happens is you're constantly fighting right here, right? It's useless because the answer is right here. All you have to do, just talk to a few people, get some initial ideas, and quickly build the shit and get data. There is nothing to fight about, right? You're spending more energy fighting than actually coming up here and getting data, right? Right here, when you're trying to build stuff, all the ego comes in, you're fighting, and people get angry. No. If you build a culture that is driven by getting some qualitative information, quickly building, getting the data, and rebuilding, and that's your culture, this pain goes away. It's much easier to move faster. Does that make sense? You understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative? So you have a few users who use it, you talk to them, hey, what do you think? Do you like this thing? What's your problem? You get some ideas, right? Qualitative. You build it, and then you have 100 people use it, and now you have data. Are they clicking on this link, or are they clicking on that link? Oh, they're clicking on that link. That's the more important thing. And you get that, and you go back to this thing. Next one. So, you have all the data, but I'm telling you, everyone is biased. Anyone watch the election in the US? Follow the election in the US? My man won. I predicted Trump's going to win in February, and I lost half of my Facebook friends. Okay, I did. But I was right, right? And everyone was telling me why Hillary was going to win. But everyone was biased. Even the media was biased. I mean, the data was in front of him, right? You see Trump rallies, like 30,000 people like trying to cling to see Trump. And then Hillary's rally, like 10 people would go there. I'm like, the data is in front of you. What are you like? Of course he's going to win, right? It's clear. So my point is, where the journalists failed, they failed to listen, right? Failed to listen. Listening is the hardest thing in the world. Okay, so the second thing I'll ask you to learn, so first is to learn yourself, know yourself. The second thing I think you should know as a person is listening. What does that mean, listening? What do I mean by listening? What's the Russian word? Slushaya? Yeah, slushaya, okay. Slushaya. Okay, anyway, so what does that mean? Huh?
Absorb information and transform what the person says to you. Understand what is your perception of information.
Yeah, so basically there are two levels. One is like initial data. You're getting some data, that's listening. But you also have to be smart enough to understand what's behind that, right? So often, when I was younger, I would be in a meeting, I would get into arguments. And I have a big ego, I admit it. So my ego would kick in and I would start fighting back. But as I got more gray hair, I tried to listen more. I'm like, I wasn't just wondering why he was arguing with me. I was wondering why was he arguing with me? What's the inner reason, right? So listening is very, very hard. When a customer says, I don't like this thing, maybe you don't like it, but you also have to understand what is it, their problem. Can you go to the next one? So you want to find the real problem, right? So when you get data from customers, don't just run and jump in there. Just try to go one level deeper. You've heard this quote before, the first one? That's a famous one, okay. So when I was in military.com, we had this complicated thing. So you guys remember the history that we had this war with Iraq, right? And guess what? In the US, the military service is voluntary, right? It's not like in Belarus that you have to go to army. In US, you go sign up. I volunteer to go to war. Kind of strange, but people do that. But when the Iraq war happened and people started dying, less people would go to volunteer. Surprised, right? No one wants to go die. So it was my task to get more people to go to war. Really. So we tried to, it's called recruiting in the military. So I actually helped us go fight in the Iraq war in a really strange ways. But what happened was we had this very complicated screen and people could not follow it. I'm like, why is this so complicated? And I wasn't a military guy. So I changed this thing to just a 10-step, one-page link. And I showed it to the CEO. And CEO said, are you crazy? What have you done? You destroyed all the wonderful tool. And like they were so angry at me, like, you're fired, you're finished. A month later, the CEO sees me. He goes, Salim, I'm disappointed in you. I'm like, why? He goes, you're no longer giving us solution like the recruiting builder. I'm like, well, you told me it was stupid. So anyways, my point is, listen. I listen to the customers rather than just looking at the actual thing. So listening is very difficult because you want to understand what the real problem is. Next one. So this comes from the Running Lean. It's called a product model, right? So basically, what is a product? Product is everything about your business, right? Is channels. Where do you market this thing? It's how are you going to make money? What are your costs of this product? How much are you going to spend on Facebook advertising? What are the problems you're trying to solve? What are the solutions you have? What are the key metrics you have, right? Do you have unfair advantage, right? What are your customer segments? So this is sort of the model, called a product model, that he likes to push. And I agree. I think all you need about your business is just this one screen, right? Keep it simple, just one screen that tells your business. Next one. So what is the product when we say product market fit? Really, it's your entire business model, right? It's basically the solution to the problem, to the channel, the cost. So when you have a product market fit, You have everything that works together. You have a solution for a problem, you have a cost structure that makes sense, you have a machine that actually is working. Next one. Anyone knows what movie this is? Any movie buffs? Thank you for the insult. Huh? Thank you, that's BEL.BIZ. Extra point right there. One of the best movies of all time. So, why I use Das Boots? Probably the best submarine movie of all time. A startup is like a submarine that is damaged, and you only have 1 hour of oxygen left, right? If you have 1 hour of oxygen left, what are you going to do? You have to focus on one thing, to get in the surface and survive, right? That's your job as a CEO. Always remember, you're in a submarine and you're dying until you find product market fit, which is up there above the sea so you can breathe and survive. If you don't get there fast enough, what happens? You'll die. It's not going to be nice. Next screen. So this comes from the Eric Ries's Lean Startup. But really, the whole idea is you could talk about ideas all day, but until you build it and until you test it, it's meaningless. So build, test, measure, get the data, learn from the data, turn the data to some more ideas, and churn, and you optimize, and you get to an engine. And that engine is going to make you the money, and it's going to give you the oxygen to survive. Next. Okay, we'll talk about this thing. Next. So, now, the second thing, since we're talking about Titanic, who mentioned Titanic? Get back there. Here's your this is Titanic. Okay, so, as the captain of the ship, avoid icebergs. Okay? What is iceberg? There's risks. It's going to sink your ship, right? What are the typical risks? No, but that's the effective risk. Well, what are the risks that you want to avoid? Next screen. Hello. Next screen. What are the risks?
Nobody needs to run.
Yes, you were wrong. What else? Well, that's part of the risk, right? But you were wrong about your channel. You were wrong about your market assumption. So how do you have to avoid these things? Now, some of these things are very easy to test. Very easy to test, right? You would be insane. You would be the worst captain in the world if you don't test it. It's like having a radar and not use a radar and you're going to just land into the rocks. Next screen, please. Okay, so you have a plan. The first thing you want to do, you want to talk to all your team. This is our plan. This is our plan. This is our plan. Nothing else matters, right? And then you have to ask the question, okay, we're going to build this thing. Can you build this thing? No. Can go wrong? Oh, the database is not big enough. What can go wrong here? I don't know. How can we market this thing? Well, we only have $200 for marketing. Identify all the risks. Identify all the risks. Don't be afraid to face risk. The biggest problem here is this. No entrepreneur wants to hear bad news, right? You want to be in your world that everything's going to be perfect. Face the risk. Ask the questions. Confront it. Next one. So, to give you an example. We decided to become an online pharmacy, right? And I did the numbers, and the numbers made sense. You could make lots of money. But we said, okay, let's test our assumptions. So I actually put an ad on Facebook. I built a pharmacy page, and I talked to a pharmacy friend who actually got these leads from us. And we measured it. And he called them and said, hey, would you want to change to our pharmacy to change your asthma drugs? So we had actual pharmacy, call the patients, try to convert them, and see how many will convert. What are the problems? So one thing we never anticipated was this. A lot of people were in the middle of their prescription. they weren't going to change until a month later or 3 weeks later, right? And then by 3 weeks, they changed their mind. They don't want to change anymore. Like things you can only find by testing. How much did that cost me? $100. $100, I found out exactly what could go wrong, right? It's so easy, right? Just build a page, test it. Now it's like easy to do. So anyways, next screen. And then we found one more thing. We realized that we had no unfair advantage. We realized that bigger players had the unfair advantage, and we had no unfair advantage. So anyway, so we scraped the idea. Next screen. Okay. What should you optimize for? If you don't know the answer to this, then you shouldn't be the CEO. If someone else in your team has the answer for this, make them the CEO. Okay? Why am I saying this? Because it's like being the captain and not understanding the coordinate that you need to go. Right? This is that important. So when we did military.com, we sat down with the marketing team and it's like, hey, what metrics should we have? They gave us 20 metrics. 20 metrics. I'm like, how are you going to optimize against 20 metrics? You're lucky if you can optimize against one metrics, right? So usually, you want to understand your acquisition cost, right? You want to understand your conversion. You want to know the activation process. You want to understand the retention of the user you get. You want to understand maybe the revenue models, what's the lifetime value might be, and you want to know if they're referring other people's. Now, some businesses are very different, so it might be very key to your business. 5 minutes, okay. I love talking. So next screen, please. Next one. All right, so I'm an ADD personality, right? This road for me is very, very difficult. I love doing this shit, right? I do love it. But every day I have to wake up and say, Salim, no, 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 no. You want to drive like this. This is bad driving. This is a good driving. So the third thing I want you to learn from here is called focus, right? Focus is the most important thing. In fact, you want to train your team to push back and make sure you stay focused, right? Remember, if you're in a submarine and you're dying and you want to come to air, are you going to zigzag and come up, or are you going to come up straight up? Straight up, right? You'll be stupid. So focus. Nothing is more important than focus, right? So that's number 3. Next screen. So you did all the stuff. You have something you built. How do you know you have product market fit? How do you know? How do you really know? So one benchmark is this. You ask your users, if I remove this thing, are you going to be sad? Are you going to be disappointed? If less than 40% of people said, yeah, I'm going to be sad, then you don't have anything. Let me ask you a question. If you lose the Google Maps or Yandex map on your phone, are you going to be sad? No? How many would be disappointed if you lose the maps on your phone? Yes, more than 40%, right? You won't, but that's product market fit. You have something people want, right? People will be lost, right? Yes, you'll be lost. People right now have basically become so dumb that if they have no maps, like people like looking for a restaurant, the restaurant's in front of them, but if they don't have the maps, they can't find the restaurant. It's crazy. So that's the benchmark. Anyways, next one. It's very difficult, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it. This is very, very difficult. It's not for everyone to do this thing, right? Don't lie to yourself. However, if you want to do it, it's never been this easy. Thanks.